Folks, welcome to an all new week. This is So Bad It's Good with Ryan Bailey. This is your pal Ryan, and happy Monday, folks. How the heck is everybody doing out there? I hope you're great. I hope you had a great weekend. Just a reminder, we released the Real Housewives of Orange County Supersize recap on Saturday. We released the Real Housewives of Salt Lake City recap on Friday. So there is tons to catch up on. I really hope you guys are watching Salt Lake City this season because for me, it's just nonstop joy. And we talk about it on today's show with our guest. And Orange County, man, Jen Pedranti, I keep thinking about her last scene with Tamra. And in this week's episode, I watched the first couple of minutes and the argument continues. And I will say it's just wild for Jen to nail it with laser-like precision at Tamra. She's able to effectively communicate. Sometimes when somebody comes off as, quiet or meek, you can never count those people out, man. It really is a stunning reality television scene. So hats off to Orange County. Just a great season overall. Let's see. I'm going to do one news story and then I'm going to tell you what to watch this week or what's potentially coming up to watch so you can set your DVRs because there's a lot of stuff there. There's too much stuff, as I always say now, to watch and keep track of. So hopefully I can keep you posted here. And if you guys know something to watch that I don't, it's a two-way street. You guys let me know. Thank you if you left us a 5-star review on Apple Podcasts and Spotify. I'm trying to get more Spotify listeners, which is a weird thing to say. Like Apple Podcasts, we do really well. Spotify, if you are a Spotify listener, rate it and review it 5 stars over there if you can. But if not, no worries. And then remember, we're doing our So Bad It's Good Halloween Spooktacular on our Patreon on Tuesday at 5 p.m. Pacific Standard Time. And it's like a live Patreon we do every week where we'll just talk whatever you want to talk about, reality television shows, Halloween, horror films, whatever you want to talk about. I was like, oh, I should watch more horror stories, like for Halloween. And then I was like, no, I already watched Bravo. So I think I'm fully set on horror films. This Tuesday, I'll be on Jeff Lewis Live on Sirius XM Radio Andy Channel 102. And I will be co-hosting with Miss Lala Kent. So I am excited / nervous to see how that goes. So yeah, it's great. I can't wait. That's basically it. Let me tell you what I watched this weekend before we get into the news stories. But add these to your list potentially too. I watched 2 documentaries that I thought were really interesting in different ways, but they are both directed by the same person. This lady, Erin Lee Carr, who is just, I think, truly amazing. She directed Mommy Dead and Dearest, that documentary back in the day about Gypsy Rose Blanchard. And I thought that was the first documentary that got me into the Gypsy Rose case. I think that was the first thing a lot of us kind of watched. I think it came out in 2017, if I'm not mistaken, 2017 or 2018. But she has 2 documentaries out there that I think are worth your time. Now, the first one is over there on HBO Max, and it's called I Am Not a Monster. And it's about this lady, Lois Reese. And she's kind of considered a grandma, and she murdered her husband and then went on the run and murdered somebody else as well. She kind of had what she describes as a psychotic break. It's a 2-part docuseries, and it's really, I mean, just a very interesting. They have an interview with Lois in prison where she has a history of mental health issues with her family, and it's just tragedy after tragedy with her family. But even just how she describes murdering her husband, and she left him there in the house for like 10 days and just kind of opened a window, and then on the 10th day fled and got in like the big like suburban and just drove to Florida or Texas. It's a really interesting, very sad, very creepy story. And I think Erin Lee Carr, the director, handles it with great delicacy. I was really taken by that. And I also watched her other documentary that is out right now, and it's called Fanatical: The Catfishing of Tegan and Sarah. And Tegan and Sarah is they're a band. They're two sisters, twin sisters. I've been a fan of Tegan and Sarah I think since, gosh, what I want to say 2003, maybe 2003, or and the first time I was made aware of Tegan and Sarah was this is how long ago it was. They opened up for the musician Ryan Adams at the Wiltern in Los Angeles, and they were the opening act. I'd never heard them before, and they were so funny on stage, and I was so taken by just them and their music, and I think they're just incredible. I've been a fan since 2003, and they're still releasing amazing music. And I wasn't aware of this story, but it's really that Tegan, the one sister, it's like a huge catfishing scandal where somebody hacked her accounts and got all this personal information about her, and then this person that had hacked her account posed as Tegan and started messaging fans and carrying on relationships with fans for years. I mean, people were in like really serious relationships with this fake Tegan, or as they call her, Fegan, and these people had no idea that they were not talking to Tegan. And I mean, some of these people were brokenhearted. And it went on for years. And Tegan would like bump into these people and they'd be looking at her strange because they thought they were carrying on like a text relationship with her for years. And she had never met them before. It really dives into parasocial relationships, because not only are they trying to track down who did this, but then you come into contact with just obsessive fans. And it's something that we talk about here a lot on this show, is that parasocial relationship and how sometimes it can get so intense. And I see this every day online, and I've sometimes participated in it myself, but you see these people where you're just like, "Oh my god, you've dedicated your whole life to this one person or to this one musician or actor." And it's sometimes a little daunting and a little scary, and you get to see it from Tegan and Sarah's point of view as well, of how overwhelming that can be, because they are trying to do something that they love. They are trying to express themselves with their music, and of course they so appreciate their fan base, but then it crosses a line where this person just took over her identity and started kind of just creating havoc. And I thought it was really, really interesting. So that's over on Hulu. The first one was on HBO Max. So Aaron Lee Carr, man, I reached out to her because I would love, if anybody knows Aaron Lee Carr, the director, tell her to come on So Bad It's Good. I will do a very respectable interview. But I'm just like, how does documentarians, you guys, fascinate me? Because reality shows already fascinate us, right? But I think documentaries, it's that next step, and they're not an elitism, but I love the way that documentaries craft a story, and how documentarians, they have their each documentarian has their own specific way of telling a story, and it's kind of like a signature. And I was very impressed with Erin Lee Carr, because you just saw how she can go from topic to topic and handle a bunch of different things. And then I was like, God, I bet she's working on 10 other projects right now. All the documentarians that I've spoken with through the course of doing this, they always have this list of projects that are in various stages of development. And I just think, what an interesting life to be a documentarian. So go check those two things out, support those. And then we also, last night, we wanted a blast from the past. So we watched the 1996 or 97 movie Contact. Remember that, with Jodie Foster? I don't know why I turned into Tom Sandoval. Jodie Foster and Matthew McConaughey. And it was, about where they get like this sound signal from space, and they go through this whole process to be able to make first contact with whoever is beaming the signal back from space. And it's a really interesting movie for so many reasons, because this was a Robert Zemeckis film. Now, Robert Zemeckis directed like Castaway, Forrest Gump, Back to the Future 1, 2, and 3. I mean, the guy has had his hands in a lot of films, and he always tries to push the boundaries technologically. He's always doing kind of interesting things. So he might hit you over the head with the message a lot, but they're really interesting. And first off, it's interesting to go back to watch any movie in 1996, because technology wise, when this came out, it was like everybody was like on computers and like cell phones. And at the time, it was like, wow, look at those computers. And now you're like, what the fuck is this? Like, the computers look all like janky. And you're like, God, man, it would be so much easier to contact the aliens now than it was in 1996. And then you had this performance, not only by Jodie Foster, but Matthew McConaughey, who is like this religious advisor, a spiritual advisor that's very popular in America at the time. And he has this relationship with Jodie Foster's character. And this was the first film Matthew McConaughey did after A Time to Kill, that John Grisham, based on the John Grisham book. Do you remember that movie? Matthew McConaughey, he cracks me up because, of course, his voice. I have to recommend to you guys, if you love audiobooks, just for his voice alone, go download Greenlights, his autobiography or his memoir. It's autobiography. And it's just, I talked about this years ago when I first listened to it, because it was like it's self-help and spiritual and positive, but it also kind of tells his story. And he's got this wild story of growing up, but he calls it green lights, of like green light, like a light at a stop, like everything's green lights. Yeah. All right. All right. All right. But he talks about Dazed and Confused. He auditioned for that film, Richard Linklater, back in the day in Austin, Texas. His dad had just passed away. He wasn't really an actor. He had never taken an acting class. He does this Dazed and Confused, and he's only in the movie for like, I think, under 10 minutes. And his performance kind of just lit that movie up. I mean, it's a fantastic flipping movie across the board, but his performance is so unique, and he had no idea what he was doing. So that movie came out, and then he started like auditioning in Hollywood, because, it wasn't like he was the toast of the town or anything, but he was getting auditions, and he was finding out that he was kind of like, oh, I'm kind of okay at this. And then A Time to Kill is a really interesting story, because they were trying, Joel Schumacher directed it, and Joel Schumacher, he's passed away, rest in peace, Joel Schumacher, but did so many interesting films throughout his career. The Lost Boys, Time to Kill, I think St. Elmo's Fire he did, and he also did Batman and Robin, and he put nipples on the bat suit for George Clooney to wear, and I will never forgive Joel Schumacher for that, but whatever. Interesting visual style. So they wanted like a big name actor for the lead part in A Time to Kill, and Matthew McConaughey was persistent. He was like, "Give me a chance, Joel. I can do this, Joel. Come on." All right. And he really, he just took that moment, like that moment you have in life sometimes, where you get this opportunity, or you have this one chance to tell this person how good you are, that you are up to the challenge. And he's just all cockiness, and it worked for him, because through the screen test and just asking Joel to consider him, he got this part. So A Time to Kill, then they do this movie, it comes out, and it explodes at the box office for this style of movie. Remember, it was like Sandra Bullock, him, Samuel L. Jackson, I think Kevin Spacey was in that as well. And then he said before that movie, there were 99 no's to auditions and like one yes, in terms of like movies you could choose to do. After the weekend of Time to Kill opened, there were 99 yeses, like there was, all of a sudden he could choose any project he wanted. So that's a lot of power, and it really freaked him out. So he went to Peru, and he did like a walkabout for 3 weeks by himself, and he did a lot of hallucinogens and stuff like that. He's that kind of guy. Remember, this is also the guy that once got arrested, I think in Austin, Texas, at his place for playing the bongos too loud. And then the cops came, and he was like naked playing bongos by himself, and they arrested him back in the day. But he truly follows the beat of his own conga drum. And he goes to Peru, and he had all of these choices, and Contact was one of them. And Contact has this kind of interesting philosophical debate, is technology helping us? And kind of religious questions of like, is there a God? Are we alone? All of these big things. And so when he was like high in Peru, he decided that Contact was the movie to do. And he also chose to do Amistad with Steven Spielberg as well. So those were the two projects he chose. Neither of them were like action movies, or he was like he was kind of a male lead, but Jodie Foster's the lead in Contact. By the way, you can skip to Kate Kennedy, who is our guest today. I'll put a timestamp. I'm just going to run a little bit, because I just watched this movie last night. But anyways, he chooses to do this movie, and I was reading this oral history of the making of Contact after we watched it last night because I was just kind of fascinated. And it's great to revisit a movie that you haven't seen for decades because not only do you remember the first time you saw it in the movie theater, but it kind of just kicks up all of these old memories. And I just think there are so many Matthew McConaughey in this, his hair, he looks like Hillary Clinton. He's got like this bouffant, like kind of blowout hair, and he's just so cocky and confident in everything that he does. And it's so funny because they have this romantic relationship, him and Jodie Foster. Even though I don't, it seems more of like, a friendship. It's such an interesting movie. And I think Jodie Foster does such a stellar job in this, but it's also a movie that would cost a lot to make. It wasn't like your average blockbuster. Asking an audience to sit through 2 hours at 2.5 hour movie where you find out that the aliens, like, you never see the aliens. The aliens actually take on the form of her father. It's hard to explain. If you've seen the movie, you know what I'm talking about. But at that point, the year before, Independence Day had come out, and that was all about the aliens and the alien looks. And this movie was like, how would we ever know what an alien looks like? It's so dumb. Like, think about the reality of that situation. We don't have anything to go on except for accounts of like little green men. But it's this just, wow, they spent so much money on this movie. And I think it's a very satisfying movie, but it's not one of those movies where it's like action packed. Like, you have to really pay attention. And then it's asking you these really big questions about the universe and about life and death, and are we alone? And like I said, is there a God? And if there are other civilizations, is he God of those civilizations as well? And that question of, if we found out there was life on, other species, how it would potentially wreck our society, because it would really kind of put everything in question that we have believed up to this point. So yeah, perfect movie to end a Saturday night with. And then we also watched old Wendy Williams clips. There's a lot of episodes now that they put back up on YouTube. And we were watching all of these clips because it started when Wendy Williams back in the day, she had this it wasn't a joke, but it was recurring bit she would do because Matthew Knowles, Beyonce's father, remember, he got a stripper pregnant, and Wendy would have this picture of the stripper, and it was one of her like doing the splits, and it's a pretty funny photo, and she would do a recurring bit of like Matthew Knowles, and then they would put the photo up of the girl doing splits. But he went and had a father with this stripper back in the day, and also then had a father with another lady. But like Wendy, I mean, there was no one else like her doing what she did. And it really is interesting because she would talk to the audience. They would all be out there and they would all be so excited to see Wendy. And you really could tell it was like a conversation between Wendy and the audience, that they were such a participant in that, even though Wendy was talking a lot of smack, man. Like, a lot of smack. And even like, it's now proven, at least she was right about the Diddy stuff. She was one of the first people to ring the alarm bells about Diddy back in the day. And I wish she was fully cognizant in this moment to be able to talk more about it. And of course, if you watch that horrible Lifetime docuseries about Wendy Williams' life and where she is now, I just thought they totally took advantage of her. She's just not in a place where she can do that anymore. And they said recently she was diagnosed with aphasia, which is the same thing that Bruce Willis is suffering from. So if you watch that docuseries, really, really brutal stuff. So that is what I watched this weekend. And then tonight I ended it with Potomac, Real Housewives of Potomac, which was fun. I almost teared up watching Giselle's daughters go to prom. And then Jamal, their dad, came. Why is it that preachers always wear the most expensive clothing? Like, if I was a preacher, would I be like parading around in like updated Gucci? Like, why would you ever want to put a target on your back, especially when you are a minister? You are the Lord's vessel. I know you want to look nice, but my God, I went downtown to get a suit today for Sophie's wedding, and I went to the garment district because I'm not rich. And I'm like, yeah, that's good enough. Like, I'm sorry, I don't need a Gucci suit unless somebody works for Gucci that's listening, and then I would be happy to, if a steep discount, that would be great. But you know what I'm saying? Like, this guy's parading around in Gucci, where I just sat there going like, you're a preacher, dude. Like, give to the poor, give it like Gucci. What are we doing here? So Potomac was fine. Then I watched Before the 90 Days, which is just a horror show all the way around, nonstop horror. We have this guy, Lauren, I've talked about before. He goes and meets this trans woman, I think in the Philippines, and then he discovered that his penis was sick and he had an STD. And that's literally what he said. He goes, my penis is sick. And the lady didn't know that he was still hooking up with other people. And it's, I don't even know how any of these people are real on these shows. And you almost pray, like, I want reality shows to be real. But sometimes with Before the 90 Days, I'm like, I'd be okay if I found out they were faking it because I just don't want to believe humanity is fully this dark, even though we all secretly know it is. Okay, so that's what I watched this weekend. I wanted to talk about this one story we didn't get to talk about over the weekend is Jay Cutler, of course, former husband to Kristen Cavallari, former NFL quarterback. Now, he pulled like a Shannon Bedore and a Karen Huger last week because he was arrested and charged with driving under the influence and possession of a firearm. Not only was he driving drunk, but he had a gun with him as well. And the police say the car he was driving rear-ended another vehicle in Franklin, Tennessee on Thursday. So the Franklin Police Department in a statement said that officers responded to the accident and detected the smell of alcohol on Cutler, who also had bloodshot eyes and was slurring words. According to police, the former quarterback refused a field sobriety test at the scene. I think Justin Timberlake did the same thing and was later taken to a hospital where a blood sample was taken after authorities got a search warrant. According to the police report, Cutler attempted to flee the scene after offering the other driver $2,000 not to call the police. How much do you have to have Jay Cutler, like where he offers you $2,000? You're like, nope, cops are coming. No, 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 no. Like that's pretty. I mean, but good on that dude. Also, don't let that guy keep driving. The police investigation also found Cutler had 2 firearms in his vehicle, not just one, 2, including a loaded pistol. Cutler was charged with DUI, first offense, failure to exercise due care to avoid a collision, implied consent, possession of a handgun under the influence, according to police. Franklin police say the 41-year-old was booked into the Williamson County Jail. His bond was set for $5,000 and has since been released. So Jay Cutler having potentially one of the worst weeks ever. And then Kristen Cavallari, they're divorced, but on her podcast last week, she was like pushing conspiracy theories and stuff. And I'm like, oh my God, of course. Didn't Kristen Cavallari used to hang out with Craig and Austin from Southern Charm? Of course, she believes in conspiracy theories. Truly, truly amazing work. Another piece of news that I thought was kind of interesting in terms of Bravo. We talked about this last week that Flipping Out is being rebooted with Jeff Lewis. So that's going to be a new show coming up on Bravo. So I think that's I love that Flipping Out is coming back because that was one of the first reality shows on Bravo I watched. That and you remember Blowout? Do you remember Blowout with Jonathan Anson? Oh God, I love that show. Let's do a Blowout reboot. But get this. Bravo now, there was a show on Peacock, a reality show on Peacock last year called The McBee Dynasty, Real American Cowboys. And Sandra, who I work with on this show, she loved the McBee Dynasty. And I only got a couple episodes in. It was a lot and I didn't get anybody to interview on the show, but she said it was fantastic. Well, season 2 has moved from Peacock to Bravo for season 2. So this is really interesting because Peacock is kind of the home of Bravo and they have shows that go directly to Peacock that are Bravo related. But now we're doing the reverse where this was on Peacock and now they're moving it to Bravo for season 2. They're going to return in 2025, but you can still stream all the episodes from the first season on Peacock. And then get this, Project Runway is officially coming back, but it is not coming to Bravo. So Project Runway premiered almost 20 years ago in December of 2004. And of course, remember Heidi Klum, Tim Gunn, and Michael Kors were those first 3 judges. And they've had so many seasons. They've kind of bounced around from like a couple different networks, different iterations. Christian Siriano was in the current iteration, but they are going to come back. Season 20 of Project Runway premiered in June of 2023, but now they are going to move to Freeform. In 2025, they are moving to Freeform, but it'll also be available on Disney Plus and Hulu. So I'm not sure what happened, but Variety, the paper, said that Project Runway was embroiled in a messy dispute between networks and production companies after producers at the Weinstein Company, Harvey Weinstein's old company, announced that the show would move from Bravo to Lifetime. Remember when that first happened? Prompting a years-long legal battle. And now they are moving to Freeform. So, but I guess if you're a huge Project Runway fan, at least it's coming back. So it's really interesting, this battle of what shows go where, what shows are coming back. I think that is truly exciting for a reality show lover. Okay, let's finally get to what to watch this week. What you got to set your DVRs for? Okay, we have a big week of TV coming up, folks. So today is Monday. So of course, Monday night, we start with the reality show of all things. We'll go through reality show schedule first. We have Below Deck Sailing Yacht that will be on. You'll have The Voice on NBC. You'll have Hoarders on A&E. You're going to have 90 Day Fiance the other way on TLC. You'll also have Love a Mama's Boy on TLC. That Hoarders, I was talking about that last week. I'm still getting chills. We have all new episodes of Watch What Happens Live all week on Bravo. On Tuesday, you're going to have Live from the Other Side with Tyler Henry on Netflix. You're going to have Married at First Sight, episode 2. You're going to have Dancing with the Stars on ABC. You're going to have another episode of The Voice on NBC. You're going to have Love and Hip Hop Atlanta on MTV. And then you're going to have 1,000-Pound Sisters on TLC. And then, of course, Real Housewives of New York City, which we talk about today with Kate Kennedy. You're going to have that on Bravo. Now, Wednesday, you're going to have Are You Smarter Than a Celebrity starring Travis Kelce. That is dropped on Prime Video. And I was watching a couple of episodes today because I interview somebody from the show tomorrow. It's Travis Kelce. No, could you imagine? Travis Kelce? No. You'll find out when. So I'm doing this interview in the morning. So I watched a couple episodes, which is a really cute show. It's over on Amazon Prime. It's good for adults. It's good for kids. And I found out that it's like, are you smarter than a fifth grader back in the day? They're all kind of like grade school questions. I'm dumb as hell, man. I didn't, there are so many questions. They're like, this is a third grade math question. I had no fun. What a palindrome is? What are you kidding me? There were so many things I did. I was like, hung my head in shame. But I will say, Travis Kelce, he's a damn good host. I was watching this wanting to dislike him just because, you root against somebody that famous. I'm joking. But he was really good. He was really good. And then they have all these celebrity judges that like are trying to answer the questions for the contestants. And you have like Natasha Leggero, the comedian, Nikki Glazer, and you have Lala Kent. And I think that's why she's on Jeff's this week. So she's one of the celebrities on Are You Smarter Than a Celebrity? And she proves to not that she's not that. Anyways, you'll see. So that is over on Amazon Prime. Wednesday, you're going to have this season of Survivor, a new episode. You're going to have Golden Bachelorette on ABC. You're going to have Masked Singer over there on Fox. And you're going to have The Challenge over on MTV. You're going to have My Heart, Real Housewives of Salt Lake City over on Bravo. And then you're going to have episode 4 of The Summit, which is another reality competition series on CBS that airs directly after Survivor. You're going to have a new episode of House of Villains over on E! And then on Thursday, you're going to have an episode of Hell's Kitchen. You're going to have Jersey Shore Family Vacation on MTV, Real Housewives of Orange County on Bravo. And then on Friday, you're going to have the second episode of the season 16 of Shark Tank, which is very exciting. And then my favorite show, Love After Lockup on WeTV, will be on Friday night. And then Scare Tactics over on the USA Network, but then you can see it on, I think, Hulu as well. So those are a lot of the reality shows. Now, when we get to actual scripted television and documentaries, we have a lot of new things. We're going to have over on CBS tonight, you had the premiere of The Equalizer with Queen Latifah, season 5 premiere. You also have on ABC, they did a Bruce Springsteen backstage and backstreet special. And this is kind of takes you behind Bruce Springsteen touring with the E Street Band. I'm a huge Bruce Springsteen fan. I'm truly a huge Bruce Springsteen fan. Like, I love Bruce Springsteen so much. Cannot wait to watch this on ABC. And then on Monday, you got The Neighborhood season 7 premiere on CBS. You got Papa's House on CBS. I don't even know what that is. NCIS, you got on CBS. You got NCIS Origins. So there's two different iterations of NCIS. And then my favorite on FX, you're going to have the first three episodes dropping of the final season of What We Do in the Shadows. What We Do in the Shadows is just so damn funny. If you have not seen What We Do in the Shadows, start from the first season. It's about vampires that live in this town, and it's so flippin' funny. I'm so sad that it's going to be the last season. On Tuesday, you have Hassan Minaj, the stand-up comedian. He has a new stand-up special called Off with His Head on Netflix. You have a documentary premiering on Paramount Plus called Uncharted. And then on Wednesday, you're going to have a docu-series called The Comeback on the 2004 Boston Red Sox. That'll be on Netflix, all three episodes, which, by the way, congratulations to the Los Angeles Doyers, the Dodgers. They are going to the World Series. Exciting. This is another reality show, but on Wednesday, Ink Master season 16 premiere will be on Paramount Plus, the first three episodes. Also on Wednesday, you're going to have the wedding episodes of Love is Blind, or actually the season 7 finale of Love is Blind will be this Wednesday dropping on Netflix. And then this is actually interesting. I want to see this. There's a 3-episode docu-series on Netflix called This is Zodiac Speaking, about the Zodiac killer, the serial killer of the Zodiac. And that mystery has never been fully solved, even though we continue to make docu-series about it. So congrats to the Zodiac killer. On Thursday, you're going to have Hallmark Mysteries Miracle of Christmas. Miracle of Christmas begins. So we are already starting our Christmas Hallmark shows and movies. You have The Old Man with Jeff Bridges, season 2 finale over on FX. Let's see here. Then on Friday, you got Judy Justice, season 3 finale on Freevee. That's Judge Judy. You have Road Diary, the Bruce Springsteen and the E Street Band documentary premiering on Disney Plus and Hulu. And that's actually an extended version of that ABC one that premieres tonight. On Saturday, you have Seth Meyers' Dead Man Walking, which is a stand-up special on HBO. I think Seth Meyers is super funny, so maybe check that out. This week, Saturday Night Live is off. This past weekend, we had Michael Keaton with Billie Eilish. It was fine. Like, it's okay. I wanted Michael Keaton to do so much more, and so you guys probably liked it, but it was what it was. It was what it was. Also, this Wednesday on HBO or HBO Max or whatever we're calling it, there's a 3-part docuseries called Breath of Fire that is coming out about Kundalini yoga and these gurus. It's like this. There's crime, there's mystery, there's sexual abuse. It really takes you behind the curtain of some stuff that I had never really known about before in terms of Kundalini yoga. And I know that sounds weird, but it kind of is in line with The Vow and cults and all of these things that fascinate us. And I thought this was really well done. I watched it's 4 episodes. I watched 4 episodes, the only 4 episodes. I watched that today. So I think that's worth your time as well. I'm sure I'm skipping so much, but listen, we got to get to Kate. Kate Kennedy, folks. You'll hear me do the big intro. I just want to tell you this conversation on Saturday. I loved it so much, and I needed this conversation with her. This conversation is amazing, but we had an hour conversation before we even started this one. And, I do this now every day. This is like consume my life, and I love it so dearly, but I don't really reach out to other creators, and I don't talk shop a lot. And it's not because it's just not something I do. And it's not something I don't want to waste people's time. So I don't really, my chance to get to talk to them is when I interview them. But Kate was so nice. And we just kind of got in this really lovely conversation about doing podcasts and creating and next steps. And it really inspired me and gave me kind of like new wind in my sails. I think that's the phrase I want to go with. She's just so damn talented. And she's another one of those people. My highest compliment I can give to people when they come on or when I talk to them is like, oh, this reminds me of somebody I would have been friends with in high school. Like I would have, oh my God, I wish I was in high school with this person. And she's just her work ethic is so great. Her brain is so amazing. She's got a great husband, a beautiful child, and a great book that we talk about once again, even though we talked about it with her in January, called One in a Millennial. Once in a Millennial, that I think you'll love if you have not read it yet. But don't worry, we talk about tons of pop culture things. We talk about Salt Lake, OC, Roni, and then we go into Taylor Swift because she's doing shows in Miami again. We go over some mysteries. We talk about Chapel Roan. We talk about the passing of Liam from One Direction. It goes in so many different directions, and I think this is one of my favorite conversations I've had this year. So I hope you guys feel the same. And that's it, you guys. Have a great Monday. Come back on Tuesday. New episodes all week. We got so many good guests, and I'm just so appreciative that you're here. So without further ado, let's get to Kate Kennedy. Bye.